For a second, I thought you were pretending not to be home. Wouldn't be the first time you've tried to avoid me. What? Don't look at me like that. You always make that exact face when you're confused. God, some things really never change. Can I come in? Thanks. Well, your place still smells the same. That's weird. I haven't been here in months, but somehow it still feels familiar. Too familiar. Mind if I sit? Good, because my legs feel like they're made of jelly. No, don't ask why. Not yet. If I start talking too soon, I might lose my nerve. Actually, can you do me a favor? Don't try to guess why I'm here. Seriously, just let me say it when I'm ready. Because if you start throwing out theories, I'm probably going to panic. And trust me, you do not want to see me panic. You're staring. Stop that. No, seriously, stop looking at me like that. That look always worked on me. Wait, forget I said that. See, this is exactly why I didn't want to come here. I've barely been here 5 minutes, and I'm already saying things I shouldn't. Do you ever notice how quiet rain makes everything feel? It's strange. The whole world slows down. People stop rushing. Cars disappear. Everything gets softer. I almost turned around 3 times on the way here. Actually, maybe 4. Because every time I got close to your apartment, I kept asking myself the same question. What if he hates me? Stupid question, right? I mean, after everything, I probably deserve that. But I still thought it, over and over. Because there are some things that become a lot scarier when the outcome suddenly matters. And this matters. More than anything has mattered in a very long time. You know what's funny? I've rehearsed this conversation so many times. In one version, you yelled at me. In another, you laughed. In another, you just stared at me and walked away. That one was my least favorite. Because somehow, the idea of you leaving felt worse than everything else. Way worse. You know, I used to think I understood myself. I thought I knew exactly who I was. Confident, stubborn, always in control. The girl who walked into every room like she owned it. The girl who never needed anybody. The girl who always had an answer. Then something happened. And suddenly, I wasn't that girl anymore. Suddenly, I couldn't sleep. Couldn't focus. Couldn't stop thinking. Couldn't stop worrying. And the worst part? The worst part was realizing there was only one person I wanted to talk to. You. Isn't that pathetic? Out of everyone I know, you were the person I wanted most. The one person I was scared to face. And somehow, both of those things were true at the same time. Can I ask you something? And I need an honest answer. Why are you still being nice to me? No, I'm serious. Why? Because if our roles were reversed, I'm not sure I'd be this patient. I wouldn't. Not after everything. Not after all the stupid things I said. Not after all the times I pushed you away. Yet here you are, listening, waiting, giving me time. Why? Yeah, that's kind of what I thought you'd say. You're impossible. Do you know that? Absolutely impossible. And somehow, that's exactly why I came here tonight. Because there's something I need to tell you. Something I've been carrying around for weeks. Something that scares me every time I think about it. And every second I wait, it gets harder. God, okay. Not yet. I need one more minute. Just one. Because once I say it, everything changes. And there's no taking it back. Everything changes. And I don't know if I'm ready for that. But I think I have to be. You know, there's something I've never understood about you. Most people, when someone hurts them, they leave. They avoid that person. They move on. They forget. But you never did. No matter how many times I gave you reasons to. Do you remember sophomore year? Of course you do. I spilled an entire drink on your notebook, right in front of everyone. And instead of getting angry, you just sighed. Like you were disappointed. That annoyed me so much. Because I wanted a reaction. I wanted you to snap. I wanted you to finally tell me off. But you didn't. You just looked at me. And somehow, that felt worse. Because for a second, I thought maybe you understood me. That's the part I never told anybody. I wasn't trying to ruin your day. I was trying to get your attention. God, that sounds so stupid out loud. Actually, no. It sounds insane. Because normal people flirt. Normal people say hello. Normal people ask someone out. I chose psychological warfare. Clearly a genius strategy. You know what the worst part is? It worked. Not in the way I wanted, but you were always thinking about me, even if it was because I was driving you crazy. And selfishly, that was enough. For a while. Until it wasn't. Because eventually, I stopped wanting your attention and started wanting you. There, I said it. You happy? No, don't smile. Seriously, stop smiling. You're making this harder. I hated seeing you with other girls. Did you know that? Probably not. I got really good at pretending I didn't care. But every time some girl sat next to you, every time someone laughed at your jokes, every time someone touched your arm, it bothered me. Way more than it should have. And I never understood why. Not until years later. Not until I finally stopped lying to myself. Because the truth wasn't complicated. I liked you. I liked you for a very long time. And I had absolutely no idea what to do about it. So I turned it into sarcasm, into teasing, into arguments, into anything except honesty. Because honesty was terrifying. Being mean? Easy. Being vulnerable? Impossible. At least back then. Honestly, I'm still not very good at it. Look at me now. My hands are shaking. I've rehearsed this conversation 100 times, and I'm still stumbling over every sentence. You know what happened a few weeks ago? I found an old yearbook. Yeah, one of those embarrassing school yearbooks. I was cleaning out a closet, and there it was, covered in dust, forgotten. Or at least, I thought it was forgotten. I opened it, and somehow, without even thinking, I went looking for your picture. Not my friends, not teachers, not memories. You. Just you. And when I found it, I sat there for almost an hour, looking at that stupid photo. You looked ridiculous. That haircut was a crime. But I couldn't stop smiling. Because suddenly, everything came rushing back. The hallways, the classrooms, the arguments. All those tiny moments. Moments I pretended didn't matter. But apparently, they did. A lot. Have you ever had that happen? Where you think you've moved on from something, and then one little memory shows up, and such suddenly you realize it never really left. That's what happened to me. And after that, I started thinking about you more. Way more. More than was probably healthy. Don't judge me. I already know it's bad. And then something ahead. Something that made all those thoughts impossible to ignore. Something that changed everything. And ever since then, I've been carrying around this knot in my chest, trying to figure out what to do, trying to figure out how to tell you, trying to figure out whether you'd stay or disappear. Because despite everything, that's the question that scares me most. Not what happened, not what comes next. Just whether you'll still be here, would you? If things got complicated, if life suddenly became messy, if tomorrow looked completely different, would you still stay? Yeah, that's what I hoped you'd say. God, you have no idea how badly I needed to hear that. Because what comes next, it's a lot bigger than old memories, a lot bigger than school, a lot bigger than either of us expected. And once I tell you, there's no going back. I think I'm finally ready. Maybe. Okay, no, definitely not ready. But I'm going to do it anyway. Just give me another minute, please. Okay. No more running away. No more changing the subject. No more stalling. God, why is this so hard? I've handled interviews. I've spoken in front of entire classrooms. I've walked into rooms full of strangers without being nervous. But sitting here, with you, I feel like my heart is trying to escape my chest. Can you hear that? No, seriously. I swear it's loud enough to shake the walls. You know what's funny? I thought the hardest part would be finding the words. Turns out, the hardest part is seeing you look at me like that. So calm, so patient, like you're willing to wait forever. And that somehow makes me want to cry. Not because you're doing anything wrong, because you're doing everything right. And I don't know if I deserve that. I've spent so much time pretending to be stronger than I am, pretending nothing scares me, pretending I always know what I'm doing. But lately, I've been waking up in the middle of the night, staring at the ceiling, thinking about every possible future, every possible outcome, every possible mistake. And every single one of those thoughts ended with you. Because whether I wanted to admit it or not, you've become important to me. More important than I ever meant for you to be. Okay, here goes. I'm pregnant. Yeah, that's it. That's the thing. That's the secret I've been carrying around. The reason I showed up here tonight. The reason I couldn't sleep. The reason I've been terrified for weeks. I'm pregnant. And before you say anything, please, just let me finish. Because if you interrupt me right now, I think I might completely fall apart. I found out a few weeks ago. At first, I thought it couldn't be real. I convinced myself the test was wrong. Then I took another one, and another, and another. Like somehow the answer would magically change. It didn't. Every single one said the same thing. And every time I looked at that result, I felt two things: fear and something else, something I didn't expect. Hope. That confused me, because I thought I was supposed to feel panic, and I did, a lot. But underneath all that panic, there was this tiny feeling. Tiny, fragile, like a candle flame. A feeling that maybe, just maybe, everything wasn't ending. Maybe something was beginning. But then reality hit, and suddenly there were questions. 1,000 questions. How do I do this? Am I ready? Can I handle this? What if I fail? What if I mess everything up? What if? No. See? That's what my brain does now. Endless worst-case scenarios. It's exhausting. And the scariest question of all: how would you react? I imagined every possibility. Anger, shock, disappointment, silence. I even imagined you laughing, which honestly would have been impressive considering the situation. But somehow, the possibility that hurt the most was you walking away. Because I realized something I wasn't ready to admit. I don't want a future without you in it. There, another secret. You see, tonight is just full of them. I kept telling myself I didn't need anyone. I kept telling myself I could handle everything alone. That's what I've always done. But this feels different. Because suddenly it isn't just me anymore, and for the first time in my life, being strong all by myself doesn't sound impressive. It sounds lonely. Really lonely. No, don't move. If you're trying to come closer, just give me another second. Because if you do something nice right now, I might actually cry. And I'd rather keep at least a little dignity. Although honestly, that ship probably sailed 10 minutes ago. God, listen to me. I'm rambling. I always ramble when I'm scared. You know that? Of course you do. You've always known me better than most people. Maybe better than I know myself. Can I tell you something embarrassing? When I first found out, I talked to you. Not actually. You weren't there. But I imagined you sitting beside me. And I just talked about everything. The fear, the confusion, the future. And every time I imagined your response, it was calm, steady, safe. Kind of like right now. I think that's why I came here. Not because I expected you to fix everything, not because I expected some magical answer. I came because when I'm with you, the world feels a little less terrifying. And lately, I've needed that more than ever. So, that's the truth. No more secrets. No more pretending. Just honesty. Terrifying, horrible honesty. And now, for the first time tonight, I'm completely out of things to hide behind. So, what are you thinking? No, wait. Actually, don't answer yet. Please. Just sit with me for a second. Let me breathe. Let me exist in this moment before everything changes. Because I have a feeling, once you speak, nothing will ever be quite the same again. And honestly, I think I'm ready for that.